Okay, I would like to point out some unique features on the TyreAid. The first thing we have, which nobody else has on the tire pressure monitoring system, we have an equalizing. So since we have a hose to both of the tires already, we have an equalizing valve here. It makes sure that the pressure is the same between the two tires all the time. It's more important than most people know. Just a 5 psi difference between the two tires makes the smaller tire to be dragged about 13 feet per mile. You can easily save between 20 and 25% of tire wear by having the same pressure all the time. Now the problem is that you can start out with perfectly same pressure in both tires, and then as soon as you start driving, the outer wheel gets a breeze and the inner wheel is right by the tire, right by the brakes, and therefore the tire pressure will go up. We keep the equalizing valve open all the time, and it's under here, and only if there's a leak in a tire so that it goes down 4 psi or more, we close the equalizing. So let's say you start at 110 psi, we let it go down to 106, and after that we close the equalizing. So it's a very important feature. It saves a lot of money. This next feature I would like to bring out is we have ambient temperature compensation. Why is this important? We don't want false alarms. On a cold morning, every other system will have a false alarm. It will say low tire pressure. And yes, the tire pressure is low, but as soon as you start driving, it goes back to normal. So the driver will get a false warning in the cab, and he thinks it's false because it's cold, but if he has a flat tire, he's still going to drive away. So we try to avoid false warnings. Some of the system on the competitors, they have put a bigger margin for the alarm, so their systems are not very accurate because they try to avoid false warnings by having it less accurate. We can keep it very, very accurate because we take in consideration the outside temperature. We also use a custom hose. The only problem we ever had was the hoses, even when we used brand name, very expensive connection hoses. So we made a very special hose. It is made of Teflon, so it can handle the heat. It has stainless steel braiding on it, and it has a burst pressure of 2,600 psi. It will never break. It's the same they use in race cars for brake lines. It's also connected to the valve stem with a safety valve. Now, the safety valve has two jobs. It has the number one job is to support the valve stem. The valve stems are fairly thin, wall thickness, especially right there by the threads, because there's an outside thread and an inside thread. So the wall thickness is very thin. When some competitors hang their system right there on the valve stem, it's not designed for that extra weight. Even the extra hoses are questionable should you put on there. So we support the valve stem where it's at its weakest point with a safety valve. Our safety valve also lets the air in at normal speed, but if there would be a problem with a hose or a tire, it lets the air out very slow. So let's say, worst case scenario, you go on the trash truck goes on the dump and a piece of metal gets stuck here and cuts the hose. The driver would immediately see that inside his cab that there's a low tire. He gets out and see, oh wow, the hose is broken, and he can then undo the valve, and the flow rate is so slow that in 15 minutes you lose 10 psi. So I mean, he has plenty of time to undo the safety valve and get rid of the issue. The next thing I would like to bring out is a small thing, is that it relocates the filling point. Now, this may not seem important for management, but this is really important for the tire tech. They, instead of having to be on their knees and try with a flashlight, often they check these tires in the evening. with a flashlight to try to locate the inner valve stem. They just fill it right from here. Some companies even have like a shield over here for aerodynamic reasons, and they have an opening and they just open and fill from there. It makes filling the air in the tire much easier. So you fill it right there into these two different nipples. If you want to know that the system works, you just push the test button and it starts flashing. This also shows that the batteries are in good shape. If the battery is low, it starts flashing very rapidly. Our range for the signal from the sender to the receiver is 250 feet. Now, if the receiver is in the cab, the only big help is that it's easy to install because you don't have to put any repeaters even if you have more than one trailer. Like they have in Australia, they have 3 trailers and we can read from the last set of wheels. But where it is a daily advantage is for the tire tech, if they want to check the entire fleet's tires, they just walk with this in their pocket, and if it starts beeping in the pocket, there's a low tire. Now everything is okay. Listen to this. It beeps in the pocket. The tire tech looks and it says low tire. Hold on. It says low tire right there. And 5 bars means this low tire is really close. You can see the bars, they're really close. When it is in battery operating mode like this, the display goes out after 5 seconds and then you need to push the button to get it back. But the beep is there and you can see that the issue is there. When it's in the cab, it's hardwired and it has the text system OK all the time. It has the system OK, and only if there's a low tire, it changes and says low tire. And when it says low tire in the cab, the driver needs to go out and see which wheel is flashing. Instead of being just in the cab, he needs to now get out, look which tire it is, and there may be a piece of metal sticking out of his tire. There's an issue, otherwise it wouldn't be beeping. So this reassures that the driver actually goes out and looks at the problem. With the long range, there is one problem. You can get some cross-contamination that if there's a low tire in every cab within 250 feet, it warns about a low tire. And it's not on that particular truck. So you can program it to read only your truck. It's very simple and quick. There's actually a switch on the side here. You flip the switch, and to programming mode, it says program 00, and then you go and touch the test buttons. And 2 blinks from test button will add a wheel. You program all the wheels. If you have 10 wheels on your truck, it says 10, program 10, so you know that every wheel is included. Now, it reads only those wheels, and if you have some additional trailers, you can program up to 54 different points. Fleets where they have several hundred trailers, then they leave this unprogrammed, and in the cab it reads any trailer they hook up. So the only negative thing is in the yard where the trucks are closed, you may or you will get some cross-contamination if there's low tires there. So the programming is good for when you have limited number of trailers you do. But only time you leave it open is when you have a lot of different trailers with the trucks. Designed with a 10-year lifespan. Every contact we use, for example, normally in the automotive industry you use for contacts beryllium copper. When it oxidizes, it doesn't give contact anymore. We use silver and gold. Gold doesn't oxidize, and silver, when it oxidizes, it still gives full contact. So We use on all electric contact points, we use silver or gold. And therefore, we don't have these kind of issues. Every O-ring, normal O-ring has a 5-year lifespan. We use Viton, which has 10, or silicone, which has 10. So we use every component we use is designed with a minimum 10-year lifespan. But we give a 5-year unlimited warranty. But the design is for 10 years. Our unit is also GPS compatible, meaning if you already have a GPS tracking system for your trucks so you know where they are, normally these systems have an open port, and to that port we give a trigger signal. So to get our system compatible with most systems on the market takes only a few minutes because you have the open port, and what we give, and this is a technical, we give a digital signal. So it's either on or off, which means there's no other programming. Hey, when this port gets juice, that means there's a low tire. We don't tell which tire, we don't tell the pressure, but that's why we are compatible with any system on the market. TyreAid relocates is the place where you put the air in. Instead of having to do it at the valve stems, you do it right here at the end of the axle. So you just put on your chuck and you fill it right from the end here. So now this side is filled up, and then we fill the other side up. And we have the readings right, and now it's okay. Everything is like it should. If you want to know that it works, you just push the test button, see a couple of flashes, and that's it. When you do the test button and see the flashes, if the batteries are really low, a third of them a third or less, it has a rapid flash. You can see this flash is slow, it's a 1.5 seconds in between, and the rapid flash is several flashes in a second. So the features I just told are unique features or very important features. Every tire pressure system will save you money, but in different degrees. So let's say that on an average you save perhaps 3%, at least according to government studies, on fuel, and you can save up to 10% on tires. But the equalizing will give you an extra 20 to 25% on the tires. So our system does the same as other systems, but we have the additional features of ambient temperature compensation, equalizing, and safety hoses and these kind of things which nobody has, and then we relocate the filling point, and we are GPS compatible.